Right guys, hello and welcome to the THQ podcast. So in this episode, what I'm going to be talking about is a little bit more in depth about injuries and posture and what we can actually do to prevent them. Sometimes why injuries are caused and why we're feeling tight. Just as much as I can elaborate on that subject as possible. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of a different way. So I'm going to look at my laptop here. I know it's hard for me to. I'm going to try and explain in detail the best I can for people that are listening to this on the audio version, and I'll physically be able to explain to people who are watching it obviously on the video. So, starting off with injuries as well, what we tend to look at as well is looking at people's posture. So, if you tend to feel like you're a lot rounded on the top, and it's more of like a flat back posture, so your shoulders are pulled quite forward and you feel like you're arched over. A lot of that can actually come from the hamstrings as well, not necessarily just coming from our upper body and the front delts here, but a lot of it can come from a hamstring. So one of the things that I would look at to someone, if someone was like this, I'd look at how tight they're actually the hamstrings, because 9 times out of 10, it's coming from there, and when they're actually trying to squat, they're raising up on the toes as well, and it comes from things that we've done in the past. So I can remember interviewing Barney from Whaley, that what he did in the past was like a lot of biking and a lot of climbing that would made his hamstrings go up very tight, and his climbing was over here. It made him become like in this sort of posture. So what we started to do is foam roll daily his hamstrings and stretch his hamstrings. Now when we do things, we have to do these things daily. They have to be a habit that we implement daily. If you want, you can't just do a few stretches at the end of a workout every now and then and expect these things to become more flexible. You have to do something as simple as just touching your toes on a daily basis, giving yourself 10 minutes to stretch them hamstrings and foam rolling them hamstrings. If you don't know what foam rolling is, drop me a message and I'll explain it to you, and I'll send you a video of how to do it. In the strength room, what you can then do as well, if you feel like this, is work on the posterior chain muscles, so any muscles that are in the back of your body, so a lot more pulling movements. In the THQ sessions, we obviously do full body workouts, and if there's certain exercises that don't feel that benefit you, we change them. So obviously we can look at that as your posture, but if you do feel like that, we'll prioritise in the strength room, do a lot of pulling work, a lot of rear delt work, working on making sure that all these muscles are getting pulled back, so we're actually helping the posture, and that is going to help. And I would probably recommend at some point as well, you do back attack, the program. It's one of the specialised programs with the trainers. That will really help us understand how to train the posterior chain and actually build our back a lot more and bring ourselves out. But that is a little bit of advice. Now another one is if you feel like you're arched forward. So if you feel like your general posture is arching forward, this can come from like a lot of, so your arch is not necessarily up, it's in the back, so you feel like you tilt forward, so anterior pelvic tilt. It tends to be not necessarily tight hamstrings, but comes from a lot of our hip flexors as well. So it's good to strengthen our abs if our abs are quite weak and hip flexors are quite tight. So you may have been in the sessions where we are working, we do a lot of hip bridges and glute bridges and a lot of glute work. This is something I suggest that you do at home, so something as simple as a glute bridge, up and down, even if just for like 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 5 sets of 20 reps, that is massively going to help. And I would recommend you do something called the dead bug as well. That's going to activate our core a lot more, and that is a bit, obviously if you've got any spinal issues as well, you can't be doing these type of exercises and you have to go and see a physio, and we will obviously work alongside that and work with you alongside that, but that's more of a physio. This is more just preventing and helping mobility, and if you feel like you're very tight, and not neglecting your tight muscles and things, and making sure that you're paying extra attention to it. So if you go onto our members area, there is how to do the dead bug on there, right? So generally, if you feel like you are struggling to do deadlifts, then we can change deadlifts and we can work on a little bit of glute work until you're actually ready to get back up there. Or there's different variations of the deadlifts that we can do. So just ask us, we'll look at check your posture as well, but obviously it requires you to look at what you're doing as well and make them daily changes outside of it. So I hope that's obviously very helpful. that is a little bit more of what I want to go over there. So now on to more of the main podcasts and avoiding injuries. So when I look at the upper body, we look at not necessarily like overreaching all the time. So when we are shoulder pressing, if we're not completely stable, for example, so what I mean by overreaching is if you take the muscle through the full range of movement and then you want to make it a little bit easier, a little bit of rest in the top, and you do that, taking the muscle out of stretch is going to force the shoulders to run it in, puts them in an unstable position. It's all about keeping our joints nice and stable. Okay? And again, we're going to look at the upper body. It's about going too deep with the exercise. Again, it's some sort of rest. So we say I'm going to stick on the shoulder press because it's easy for me to maintain. As you're coming down here, you come too low. It's easier at that point. It's easier. That is putting your shoulders in a dangerous position. You're going to put it in. You're going to push up, and it's all about don't look for the easiest part of the movement, look for the hardest part of the movement and stay in the hardest part of the movement, because 9 times out of 10 that's going to be the safest part of the movement as well. Okay? Lower body, again it comes with making sure we're nice and flexible and don't be afraid to do body weight stuff. When we're looking at the squat position, when we're squatting down, make sure that we sit back, yeah? We're not looking at if our knees start to bow in, or our knees tend to come over the top of our toes. We do recommend that you use our heel step. There's a reason we've got that heel step, because it elevates the heels, opens out the hips a little bit more, and we tend to be able to get a lot better squat with people that use the heels, and it really does. It really does help. Deadlifts. If we do struggle with deadlifts and we struggle to get the form and don't feel right, especially RDLs, these are very advanced movements. Now, do not worry. We can start to, obviously, like I've mentioned at the start of the podcast, is to work on that flexibility daily as well. But we can adjust these exercises, and don't worry if we have to change them for working on, say, rear lunges, working on goblet squats, working on sumo shoots. These are still going to be effective movements, right? Just because you can't do it at the exact exercise that we've wrote down on the board, do not worry. We can change it, we can adjust it, and you still get an effective workout. We'll still find a way of hitting a muscle group that we are working on, but just in a bit more safer one that suits you and your posture and how you're made up, and your flexibility and your mobility at that particular time. And everything can be progressed, but let's just regress things if we need to, so that we can still give you an effective workout as much as possible. Mind to muscle connection. Mind to muscle connection is very important. So what I mean by mind to muscle connection is understanding like your muscle that you move. Like for me now, my chest, I can feel my chest, I'm focusing on my chest, and then as I'm chest pressing, I'm squeezing. If we do that and we slow the reps down, we are going to be avoiding injury, because we're not just pushing away as fast as we can and just being reckless in our execution. We're controlling the movement down, and if we slow it and concentrate on a form, like it's the same principle. You slow and concentrate on something, it's going to be a lot safer and it's going to be a lot more effective. That could even mean your food. When you're concentrating on an actual bloody meal, you feel fuller because you're concentrating on your food. So it's the same with training. You're slowing things down and you concentrate on the actual movement. 9 times out of 10, as a byproduct, it will be a safer movement rather than being reckless in your execution. Talking about diet, if you eat better, it's going to reduce inflammation a lot more. You're going to be, think back to, let's say, for me when I was training over Christmas, like I managed to maintain a pretty decent body weight over Christmas. Yeah, I was eating and drinking a hell of a lot more than what I usually was, right? I was weight training on a daily basis, but my back hurt, my knees hurt, and my back never hurts. My knees never hurt when I'm on diet. They don't hurt now when I'm training, right? But when I'm eating a bad diet, yes, I might be able to keep my body fat down, but I start to pick up these little niggles and little injuries because of the crap food that was going through to my body. So making sure that we eat better on a consistent basis as well is going to help prevent injuries. It's going to make our knees feel better. It's going to make our back feel better. It's going to make our joints feel better. It's going to make our shoulders feel better. Everything. When we train, if we are fueling ourselves with decent food, trust me, you will feel better and you'll avoid injuries 110%. Stretching daily. I mentioned about stretching before, you have to stretch daily if you are tight, right? And sometimes it's like, again, it's this going all in approach, is that I remember when I first started training, like my hamstrings was really tight, really tight, and I had a little bit of my calves really tight. It all stemmed from football. I used to play football only Saturday and Sunday mornings, like going there probably still drunk from the night before, not warming up, and years of doing that, it made me really tight, right? So when I started to weight train, I had to foam roll and stretch on a daily basis to actually be, I'm not like the most flexible now, but I'm flexible enough to prevent injuries and keep me in a nice place, but that actually come from doing it daily. I must have done it every single day for like a month, and then now I just do it once or twice a week. So it's, again, it's getting that flexibility, going all in, I love the all in approach, and then starting to, maybe you have to do it a couple of times a week to maintain it, but you've got to earn it at first. It's like with anything, like our sessions will help with flexibility. Obviously, we can get anybody into the perfect movement, we just regress the exercise and we slowly get you better to your form gets better. And as you get stronger and you learn weight training, that is going to help your flexibility, of course it is, as well. But the more we have to regress the exercises, the longer it's going to take you to progress, and the longer it takes to progress, the more you risk of sort of losing interest and losing motivation. So we don't want to keep regressing everything. If we notice something that needs working on a daily basis and need to do it outside the gym, then do it. We're doing it for your benefit, so you stay motivated, so that when you come in, we can progress the exercises a lot quicker, you progress your transformation a lot quicker, and it's win-win. No really more to say on that. If you're progressing, then that's what we're here for. Now, I always talk about training is, you've got to be focused and you've got to really put 110% effort in. But sometimes 110% effort in isn't necessarily just aggression, just making sure you go as heavy as you can and do. That is mindless, like sort of training. Aggression is training 100% what you can do at how you're feeling for that day, but at your ability level. And it's not, aggression is good to get a little bit of aggression, get right, I'm going to get that extra rep, I'm going to push that. It is good, and sometimes you do have to sacrifice the odd bad rep, but as a general rule, make sure you're nice and controlled within your approach. And that, guys, is everything that it sort of can help you, I think, with preventing injuries and what you have to look at injuries. And sometimes injuries aren't clear cut. A lot of it can be just what we're consuming and the food we're consuming is why we're getting injured all the time. So that's just something to think about, and I hope that helps. So guys, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care.